It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
I don't want to lose. I want to win!
I need professional help.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sports Betting Weekly, sponsored by EasySportsData.com. The books use data, shouldn't you too? And this is Easy Sports Data, like the preschoolers use. EasySportsData.com.
I win here and I win there. Now what?
Sports Betting Weekly.
I want to win!
Here comes the money.
Here we go.
Money talk. Here comes the money.
You should also check out SportsBettingLessons.com. You'll learn some old tricks because sometimes how you bet is more important than who you bet. SportsBettingLessons.com.
Let's just do it. Let's meet this thing head on. And you were in it to win it. Talk about an education.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Wow, winning.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Welcome to Sports Betting Weekly. I am Second Ave Chaz. We are joined by our guys. We got John from GMF Sports Consultants out of Las Vegas. Where 2 weeks from tomorrow, and then 2 weeks from Saturday, it is the Pegasus Stakes, and we will be talking with Black Hawk West from 151 Sports Investing regarding the horse racing. I'm not sure if you guys got a chance to see the cartoon that we put up today on social media to post to prop up the show. Did you get a chance, John, to see that?
I did not. I have not checked that out yet.
Yeah, it is a cute little cartoon. When you get a chance, check it out. But it's basically a sports betting lesson cartoon. And if you could laugh and learn at the same time, you usually do fairly well. So let's make sure we're clear on what's happening and where it's happening. If it's 8 o'clock, give or take by a minute or two in the city of New York or wherever you are, just look at New York. If it's 8 o'clock in New York, you're in the right place for some live action, and we're going to start right now. So, as I mentioned, go to championshipfootballs.com. You can pick up the coolest present they'll open that day guaranteed. And if you're a Bulldogs fan, and if you are, you have a right to be. They are just a beautiful, beautiful ball. But that's kept me busy this week, guys, so I haven't done much of anything. So the way I start the show is I go out to these experts and I say, hey, I got the NCAA board up, I got the NHL board up, and I got the NBA board up. With John from GMF Sports Consultants, are you live on anything as we speak?
It's actually about to tip off. We're jumping in on the Memphis Grizzlies at -4. That game is scheduled to tip off any moment now. So people, if they're watching, they have an opportunity to get in on that right now. Memphis is playing extremely well. John Morant is just, I mean, he's been on fire lately. Not only that, they have a pretty good team surrounding cast behind him. Little skeptical just because they've been so good. So you kind of got to think that maybe they're due for a loss here, but at home playing the Minnesota Timberwolves, I like the Grizzlies tonight.
Yeah, actually, I'm looking at it down at -3. So.
Oh, perfect. Oh, okay. Well, perfect. They got a better line than me now if you get in. I'm in at 4, so.
And we will pay attention to that in live action. How about you, Black Hawk West? I know he mutes himself, and he does that, John, out of respect, and I appreciate it. But then if he forgets to unmute himself, moving. And here's the problem. If you're watching this show and you haven't seen it before, you think I'm laughing when I'm talking about these guys cashing tickets and stuff. I don't laugh about cashing tickets. It's not a joke. It's a very serious thing, I think. And if Wes's lips are moving, there's a good chance, unless the words Michigan are coming out of his mouth. So let's see if he's got. Are you anything already, Wes?
Yeah. So there's one that's really interesting that I just came across, and it's a tremendous value. And I'm only going into it for a half a unit, but I'm looking at the NHL right now and the Philly-Boston game. This is a total value play. Boston is scoring goals. Philly is not getting much good play on defense at all, or out of the goalie. I'm jumping on Boston -1.5 for a +350 payout. And it's a second period play. So we're in intermission right now. It's a total value play. Very rarely do you see the odds makers being comfortable exposed like that. And I'm with the odds makers. I'm jumping into bed with them on this. -1.5 Boston plus 350 for the second period.
Oh, for the second period.
Only for the second period.
Okay, that makes it a little bit more sense because, and don't get me wrong, we come across live action where, wow, I'm already covering that play. And it happens. And that would, of course, be the case because after one, it's 2-0 Boston. But that makes a whole different animal. So, yeah, on mine, I can't get that. I got -0.5 at plus 119. But you know what? I'll hop on that. I'm going to hold up on the Grizzlies and see what happens early because just of the point movement that from what John said and what we have. But with that Boston, -0.5, it's -0.5 plus 119. So it's not a crazy plus 350 number.
That's still a great value, though, on a team that is completely smoking the other guy.
Yep, no doubt about it. All right, so what about we got NBA. What about college basketball, John? I know that you gave us another money line winner last night with LSU. That was last night, wasn't it?
Correct. Yes, that was last night. Yep.
Talk about a long ass 24 hours.
Yeah.
Could have been last Tuesday.
Yeah.
Anything in college football? College basketball?
Right now, we're actually not playing anything right now, but a little bit later, we're actually going to be looking at South Alabama. Not on the radar of too many people who are betting college basketball, but they're at home. They're playing Georgia State. We're getting anywhere from a -1 to a pick'em line on them. And I just like South Alabama here in the spot. I just think they're the better overall team. This is the team that I've been tracking, for the beginning of the season this year. So I feel comfortable laying with that. Live, nothing, but that's not till later.
Yeah, that's right as we go off the air.
Yeah.
Georgia State, South Alabama. You know what? I would imagine you could hear that at a meeting somewhere, Wes. Hi, my name's Chaz, and I'm a gambler.
Right.
I needed to come to a meeting because I put money into my account to bet the Georgia State, South Alabama basketball game.
Well, in Georgia State, South Alabama, that's not even the wildest one that John is called out. He's called out some schools taking points that win dog outrights, and I have to Google these schools to know where they even are.
No doubt. Yeah, for him, -1.5 is as close to lock as you're going to get because normally he's taking points. All right, so we got some live action. We got 1, 2, 3 different plays that we're going to be looking at. Technically, we're not going to be looking at the South Alabama, of course, as a live action play because at 5:56, when we go off the air, the loudmouths come on, and tonight they have a pretty cool guest. They have the dean of the Knicks Film School, Jonathan Macri. So he's coming on there after us. But that's about right what time that I'll be working on the video for this show and probably checking out that Georgia State South Alabama game. All right, so it is a Wildcard Weekend. Did I mention 2 weeks from Saturday is the Pegasus State? Actually, you know what, John? Since we're hopefully going to be drinking together that day, I'm hoping after 14 or 15 cocktails with drinking, you're going to make me say Pegasus Steaks 3 times.
You're going to have, no, that's guaranteed to go down. You have to say it at least 3 times now fast.
Talk West. In terms of the days of the year where there's just great cards at a track, how would you rate this one? What number is it to you?
I enjoy the Florida Derby, and I go to the Arkansas Derby, and I love the Apple Blossom. But Pegasus is great because it's the first really big one of the year. It kind of kicks off the road to the Derby, so it's really fun to watch. And so I like all of them, but the Pegasus on the calendar kind of kicks it all off.
Well, yeah, because it's 2.5 months since the Breeders' Cup, So the quality of the horses isn't impaired by, some of those races right after the Triple Crown are tough on those horses because they just can't do it. They're still babies. But then they've had, they've got through a couple more months, and then actually January 1st, right, they all have their little birthday parties in the stalls with their candles on. Well, you don't have candles in a stall full of hay. I'm thinking that's not a good thing. You got the little battery powered candles that they sell for Christmas time, or for your wreath, right? For the menorahs, right? They have battery powered menorahs. right?
They do. They do.
Yeah.
You twist the light bulb instead of light the flame.
You don't want to be taking a big lighter out in a barn with a horse that's worth $4,000. You know? But for me, what I like about it is I don't have to bounce around. So most good days of horse racing, as you know, Wes, I got to find a couple great races at Del Mar, a couple of Santa Anita, wherever they're running on the West Coast. You know, maybe a couple from a Florida track or two, a couple from the New York track or two, to really get 7 quality races. And don't get me wrong, if you like betting, you know, $80,000 claiming races or maiden special weights, God bless you. You know, God bless you. That's not what I like to do. I got enough to bet on. I don't have to force a play. But what I'm looking at is the ability to get that racing form Friday afternoon, get to the airport early. Yeah, I don't care if I'm at the airport 3 hours early. It takes me 3.5 hours to read 7 races. And when they're good quality horses, you almost have to go through West twice, right? You can't scope through once and expect to see stuff. Right? Am I right?
No, you go through it a couple times, especially those big races, because you're talking about quality horses that are just, you know, hairs apart.
Yeah, and it could be you know, this is a fine example. You know, if you got a couple months off since your last race, those workouts are really, really important, but you got to pay attention. Some trainers don't care about workouts, you know.
Yep.
So it's a challenging thing, and they are, as they used to say, equine puzzles. And I'm looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to my first visit ever to the Stratosphere because of the fact that I've never ever stayed there before. So I'm looking forward to that. All right, let's talk some Wildcard Weekend. What's nice about this week is really, guys, we can go over every single game and give it a few minutes because we've got the whole show and there's only 6 games. So I don't know. Let's start. Well, before we do that, let's start with the end of the season because the circuit contest ended. John, did the guy win both the top 2 prizes?
You want to know what I haven't really checked the final standings. I totally forgot to look at the final standings, but I'm pretty sure there was another guy who had two double entries that was in the top 2. So those guys, I think, pretty much dominated the top 10 as far as that goes. I haven't looked at the overall winners this week yet, so I got to take a look at the
standings.
No, I did not. No.
Do you know what your final record was?
Off the top of my head, I'm not sure. I have to go look for this week. I didn't check for this week.
Yeah,
we did well. I think I finished right outside of the top 100. So right. Which is very good considering there was 4,000 people in that contest. So I'll take that.
No. And again, as you know, you play to the final buzzer. But when you're dealing with a contest where you're chasing, and I've been in a few of them.
Yeah.
All you do is you put your picks in and you just put your picks in. That's all
Yeah. It was tough this year, especially with those guys, because like I said, you had about 2 or 3 guys that had a pretty significant lead, at least from where my standing was, that I couldn't make that up in 2 weeks, and then they had double entries. So you know they definitely had the upper hand. Well, moving into the last 2 weeks.
When you're good, right? If you have done everything, you suck.
And you say, yeah, that's double the money lost, then, right?
Right. But you know what? It's like in a grass race, Wes, a grass horse race, when they're on the grass and they let the horse take the lead, real slow fraction, so nothing burns them up. And those guys, a couple of those guys in that contest, they hopped out right away. You know, they had incredibly good records right away. And they didn't have to kill it coming down the stretch. When you're chasing, if you're playing, 60% ball in the contest and you're chasing 10 games, think about it. Those guys were at 70%.
Yeah. There's people hitting 70 over 70% in there. So that's amazing.
Very unusual year. All right. So what about you, Wes? Do you have any numbers?
I didn't finish in the top 100 like John did, but I was right around 54%, 55%. And, I said it last week. I got away from who I am as a handicapper in this contest because I was trying to be witty and find winners where other people weren't thinking. The record that we had on our Discord page, man, if I would have had that in the circa, nobody would have touched me.
But that's part of life and learning about anything. It doesn't matter what you play in golf, learning how to cook Italian food, horse racing, sports betting. It doesn't matter. You're gonna screw up, and all you could do is learn from it for the next time, because you really, like you said, you hadn't done a lot of those contests before,
No, so it was fun to be a part of. That's for sure.
Oh, without a doubt, it exciting. How better off than having a buddy being your proxy,
Yeah, that's right.
Great.
And it's tough for those contests because it's necessary. There was a lot of games where even though I picked it for the circa contest, that doesn't mean I'm actually betting that game with cash on Sunday. So it's a real kind of different mentality that you got to have, and it's fun to do and everything like that. But it's very like you said, different kind of state of mind when you're doing those contests when you got to pick just 5 every week.
No doubt. And it was a bizarre NFL season from the fact that points bets had never been higher in terms of the discrepancy between the favorites and the dogs. And COVID was it just as bad. COVID was just as bad. And so that leads me to my next question for you guys. Right now, how is it COVID impacting the NHL, Wes?
Well, I'll tell you, in a situation like this Boston game we're on, they just had a big name player return to the lineup a couple nights ago and just lit it up. So it is affecting the league in terms of most of the games are happening. I mean, we're in a better place in that regard, but it's who's out and who's not, and then their effect when they come back, because there's no consistency in when they come back. Do they just hit the scene like a bomb and they just start scoring goals and dominating again? Or do they come back and that particular player starts to drag? So it's having a different impact on all the teams, and the coaching and the experience is showing. There's not a lot of teams I'm trusting right now in the NHL. If you guys have noticed, our text chain the last few days, I've been college hoops more so than I have been the NHL, just because the NHL is very difficult to understand how these players are going to show up.
Yeah, and then part of it is if a player doesn't play because of COVID, you know what? Was he asymptomatic and he's fine and he was working out the whole time, or was he sick as a dog? Correct. And he's going to be cramping up after about 14 minutes of playing whatever sport he plays because his body just is not ready to come back. College basketball, I know because I'm here in San Diego. San Diego State had a great big win over a top 20 school. Just dominant team. Defense, very good team. Incredible. And then they don't play again. And at the bottom, if you go to the bottom of the scoreboard for the NCAA basketball right now, you see cancel. So, John from GMF Sports Consultants, what about the NBA?
Yeah, well, just going back to the college basketball, I think this time of the year, I think actually the college basketball is probably more affected. Very similar to NHL. Obviously, we have the issues up in Canada across the border. But college basketball, if there's a COVID outbreak or if there's something going on, they're actually not allowed to practice. So there's no team practicing. There's nothing like that. So that throws off the whole chemistry. I mean, if you look back, there's teams who haven't played a game in 2 or 3 weeks now, which is crazy. So that just throws everything off, which is right now we're going kind of in the heart and the thick of the competition into college basketball. NBA is a little bit different. NBA, these are superstar world-class athletes. We're seeing these guys return in 4, 5, 6 days with no problem. And also the NBA, they're able to kind of pick these guys off of their G League and independent league to kind of fill roster spots if needed. Obviously, betting NBA is always tricky, so you got to keep an eye out on who's sitting and who's not. But I think overall, this COVID is affecting college basketball more than any sport right now.
No doubt about it. All right, when we get back from break, we're going to hop right into Wildcard Weekend. You're watching Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, on Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, on the Sports Betting Channel, and at sportsbettingweeklylive.com.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Winner, chicken dinner.
Welcome back to Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, the Sports Betting Channel, and SportsBettingWeeklyLive.com. However, it's about 8:15 in New York right now. You're in the right spot because we're going to dive back into our live action. We're going to then talk all 6 Wildcard Weekend games, and we're going to cash some tickets. And how do I know that? Yeah, I'm not an idiot. Every show we've ever had is for transparency. You can't beat Sports Betting Weekly. Every show we ever had is up there. You don't believe me? Go watch about 19 hours, count the winners, and come back and we'll talk. All right. At the Minnesota-Memphis game, it's off the board for me, but Memphis started out a little slow.
Yep.
And so we're going to be paying attention to that one because John is on those said home Grizzlies. We are looking at the NHL game now. Flyers have 7 shots on goal. Talk about a piss poor performance, huh? But they are. So we're going to be paying attention to that. Anything happen, Wes, with the Texas Tech game? Or did it still go the way it was?
So last I looked, Tech was up pretty good.
Okay.
I'm pulling it up right now.
Yeah, because I know you were on them.
There's 15 minutes to go in the second half, and Tech is up 50 to 34. So
wow.
And you were assuming that all the energy they used up in the Baylor game would come back to bite them in the ass, but so far so good. So we'll see.
Yep.
They played 2 impressive games, Baylor and then also Kansas too. So they had you know a pretty impressive schedule.
Both top 10, right?
Yeah, both top 10. Yeah. And Texas Tech is still a young team. So I was in a similar position where I was almost thinking this might be a letdown spot. I personally stayed away from that game, but I was similar thinking where you got to think there's going to be some kind of comeback to reality, so to speak. Not taking anything away from them, but they're a young team there, and they definitely had some great games, especially the last 2.
Yeah. Sometimes though, John, when you're young, you don't know what you're doing is not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, exactly. That might turn out to be the best thing that happened to them. So.
Well, it looks like the Flyers went from 7 to 9 shots on goal. One of them went in the hole. So it's 2-1 Bruins. So we'll pay attention to that one. And before we go anywhere, we're still off the board on that Memphis game. So we will see what happens next with that. All right, let's talk some Wild Card Weekend. Saturday, there are 2 games. We got Vegas at Cincinnati and the Patriots at Buffalo. Now, we talked. I was on the MD show last night. They moved to Wednesdays, and I did give out your play. Well, Wes, I don't remember what it was. What was it?
It might have been Philly.
Oh, it was. It was the Eagles. It was the Eagles. It was. And there was a coin flip. Pete was on with us. There was 4 of us on the show. There was a coin flip in terms of whether or not they agreed with you. But let's talk about these games. One of the things we talked about last night was some of these are rematches. This one with New England Buffalo's the 3rd time around. So they've played. They're going to play in 7 games. They're going to play 3 times, which is really unheard of. It just happened the way the schedule fell. They played those 2 late games. Let's start with John, GMF Sports Consultants. I'm going to ask you a question before we talk about the Vegas-Cincinnati game, being that you're in Las Vegas. I'm going to ask you a question about these games.
Okay.
Will you bet every one of them?
Will I bet everyone? Absolutely not. No, there's a couple that I'm already kind of shying away from the board. The playoffs, the great thing about it is that you're able to select your positions before, and then there's always in-game opportunities that might present themselves depending on that. But I'm not betting every game.
You have to. You have to. I believe this is what I told him last night. I believe that in playoff games, more than any other aspect of sports, right when it's one and done. I'm not talking about baseball or hockey where it's a 7-game series. I'm talking about when it's one and done. You can tell pretty quickly if you were right before your head.
Oh yeah, yep.
And so that's where I go in. If I like a team or a play, if I like a play, I'm going to go in on it light, even if I like it, because you'll know right away. And then you can always, if you're right away, worst case scenario is you lose a couple points. Usually you're going to be safe with an early live action play. So let's talk to John from GMS Sports Consultants about the Vegas Cincinnati game?
Well, there's going to be a sort of a hometown Vegas bias coming from me right here because I'm jumping on the Raiders. I already took them at 6. I'm going to sprinkle a little bit of money line action on them as well. Couple dollars of lunch money on that money line. The line did, I think, already drop down to 5.5. So we're seeing some, I don't know if you want to call that sharp action, but you know, we're definitely seeing line movement going towards the Raiders. I just like the way they were playing. This is a different team that I've said in prior weeks. They look kind of bad offensively, but that last game, I think, against the Chargers really showed me something. And I'm convinced that they can go into Cincinnati and beat them outright. I think they'll be able to get to Burrow, and I think they'll have some opportunities with now the way Jacobs is running the ball. He seems to be running pretty well. And I think the confidence in Carr actually playing in a playoff game this time because, you know, previously when the Raiders made it back in 2016, I do believe that was the year he was hurt. So he didn't actually get to play in the playoffs. But I just like the kind of how the team focused around all the tragedies that happened here in Las Vegas. Obviously, we have the multiple player situations. We have the coaching situation, but I think they're rallying around that interim coach. And I think they're, you know, the momentum is on their side, I think, going into Cincinnati. So I'm on the Raiders. Let's go Vegas.
Before I interject, I'll let you know I'm taking your Memphis Grizzly play. I hopped on it live action, minus 135 for the game.
Oh, perfect. Oh, there you go. No very nice.
I don't need no stinking points.
That's it. Hey, nothing wrong with that in the NBA.
All right. So Blackhawk West, same game.
So I like this game, and it's an interesting one because when you look at Cincinnati, statistically, they're like bottom 6 in the league as far as passing, defense, and yardage allowed. What's interesting though is when they play against pass-heavy teams, they beat them. When they played against the Raiders the first time around, they smoked them. When they played against the Chiefs, they beat them. So you don't want to get into a quarterback duel with Joe Burrow. And what I like about Cincinnati here is out of all the quarterbacks that have yet to be in an NFL playoff game, Joe Burrow has probably been on the biggest stages out of all those players. And he's got a wide receiver that he's been with for 4 years, you know, and this Chase is just unreal. So I, as much as I hate to be on opposite sides as John, I like Cincy here, and I did not like it at the 6.5, and it was and the line moved to 5.5, and at 5.5, I like it very much.
Yeah, I said, and here's where I'm standing on this game. I like Cincinnati to win the game, but I'm going to look for Oakland to score first and get the line 2.5. 2.5. I want a 2.5 money line somewhere like that.
Yep.
I don't want to pay a lot of money. Well, right now, if I want to take Cincinnati and I want to say I don't need no stinking points, I just want to win the game. I'm going to see what the line is, but it's probably higher than I want it to be. That's the way I'm looking at it. So NFL game.
There was a funny meme that I saw that was the first text message that there has never been a text message sent in the history of the world about Cincinnati just winning a playoff game because the last time they won it was before text messaging had ever existed.
No, and again, we have our records going back to 2012, right? And they have 5 playoff games in there. Every single one went under. And they're 0-4-1. They got to push last game. They pushed against Pittsburgh. They lost 18-16, and we're getting 2. So yeah, but Joe Burrow doesn't have red hair. That's one thing I know about Joe Burrow. Red hair. But they're
little different situation now. Yeah,
they're minus 230. I don't want minus 230. I don't need to bet a game that bad. But I tell you right now, I could see some points being scored. Our Easy Sports data has got some numbers that are showing over. So, again, I'll pay attention to that. What I'm looking for this weekend, guys, I'm looking for that game like I had the other night with the Alabama-Georgia game. Remember, I waited until there was no touchdown scored, and I said, I'm telling you, there's going to be touchdown scored. And from 37 on up, the over hit like 5 times. And that's what I'm looking. I'm looking to find. I always say I'm looking to find that Bruins game in Tahoe. It's an inside joke, but
there's a player prop that I'm actually looking at too. Is going to be the wide receiver for the Raiders. Is going to be Zay Jones. He has a total reception yards. I believe it's about 43.5. I like him to go over. I'm also going to put some touchdown props in on him. I think if the Raiders are going to be able to score, they're going to have to do it with a big play. And this is a big play guy. If you watch the game to the Chargers, he was this close from getting a touchdown early in that first half. So I like him. You know how the players are. There's going to be some guy that comes out of left field that you know is going to have a monster game. Nothing against Zay Jones. He's a pretty good wide receiver, but I think he's going to kind of be that hidden gem that we're going to find right here in this first game for Cincinnati. So look out for him this week.
And you know, Carr loves to throw the ball deep.
Exactly, and that's where he's going to go. Yep.
He had 6-8 games this year where he had nobody to throw the ball deep to.
Yeah, he had nobody. We had the wide receiver issues probably before then, but I think Zay Jones kind of filled that role coming here late into his last few games because everything has been focused around Waller. He's hurt. I still think something's wrong with him. He didn't look right that game against San Diego. Maybe it's rust because he did miss into some games, prior to. But obviously, everything's going to be kind of focused more inside with Waller and Renfrow. So I think there's going to be opportunities because you have to play Renfrow now. He's playing phenomenal this year, and I think Zay Jones is going to have opportunities because he's going to get single coverage.
Yeah, no doubt about it. And again, the first game back, you know what? It's really hard to come right back and be in a groove.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, so let's look at this next game. They played December 6th. They played December 26th, and they're playing January 14th or whatever it is, 15th.
Yep.
So that's pretty crazy. Let's start with the Black Hawk West from 151 Sports Investing.
So this one is a no touch for me, but I look at it and a lot of people would be very surprised when you start to look at the statistics and you peel back the layers, and statistically Buffalo has a very good defense. So Bill Belichick in that first game where they played each other and they threw the ball like 3 times. All they did was run the ball in the wind. So Belichick playoffs, getting 4 points. It's in Buffalo. This whole game just screams very scary. My play on this game, I'm going to go with the over 44, and I'm going there only because if Buffalo wins, it's going to be because they've found a hole in New England's defense, and Buffalo hangs probably 30 plus, and so again, I have no call on the two teams, but my call is on the over 44.
John.
Kind of similar sentiments. Right now, I am not touching this game. I think it's going to be a great game to watch. We're talking about two teams that know each other exceptionally well. Similar situation. I hear it's going to be very, very cold. Abnormal temperatures and weather in Buffalo. So we might get a similar condition to where we see probably Mac Jones not throw the ball. This is a playoff. He's going to have to throw the ball. It's going to definitely be more than 3 times, I think. But if I had a gun to my head, just because I don't think there's going to be a repeat of what happened. I think Buffalo is going to win this game. I don't like the 4. If it was at 3, then you might pique my interest a little bit. But yeah, I'm going to sit back, relax, and watch this show. Like I said, if you made me pick one, I would say Buffalo. Just because also, too, I think everybody's going to jump on that Patriots bandwagon. This is kind of a odds maker's dream where everybody looks, oh, no, New England. All the conspiracy theorists are also saying there's going to be the Patriots-Bucks Super Bowl that the NFL somehow is magically going to make happen. So you're going to have that, go on, which I don't see. Mac Jones has played extremely well. I actually think they're going to lose this week to Buffalo. I'm going to look for in-game. If I can get a cheap money line or anything under 3, I might jump in at that point. But as of right now, I'm clear and stay away from that.
Yeah, I look at my numbers, and here's what I see. I see that in the first quarter, in the last 4 games, Buffalo has allowed a safety to Atlanta. They've scored since that game, that snow game. Remember they had 3 passes, right?
Yep.
Buffalo scored 27, 31, 33, 29, 27. Their defense, as Wes has aptly said, they have allowed 10, 15, 21, 14, 33, 14, and 16. So 6 out of 7 games, 21 or less. in the NFL, you keep teams under 21 points, you win those games.
Correct.
More times than not. You really
Oh,
do.
yeah.
So I like Buffalo. I like Buffalo. All right. Next game is Sunday morning, early our time, John, 10 o'clock in the morning.
Nice.
Philly at Tampa Bay. We're going to start with you because we got a leak. We had inside information on who Blackhawk likes in this game.
Yeah. So this is another game that I'm probably not going to touch. My first instinct would be to take Philadelphia just because of the points here. Then at the time I'm thinking about going to the window and putting a bet in for Philadelphia, I also have to imagine this is Tom Brady and the Bucks going on the other side. So this is what's making me stay away from this game. The thing I like about Philadelphia is obviously the run game. They've been controlling the ball with the run game. They're chewing up yards. I think they have the most rushing yards, whatever statistical category, they almost lead everything as far as rushing yards go. So they're going to be able to control the ball. I think obviously they have to turn those first downs and eat up the clock and keep Brady off the field. But yeah, I don't know. I'm gonna stay away. Maybe if I can get a line or get a read on it. The first 5 minutes, I think, like you said, you'll be able to tell. I'm gonna stay away. I have somebody here in Vegas Steve. That's what they call him. He said he is all over Tampa Bay. For whatever reason, he thinks the Bucks are gonna roll them. I don't see that, but that's his opinion. So
before we talk to Wes about the game. The one thing it's a something got to give game. Pittsburgh, the Eagles aren't giving up points, and Tampa Bay scores points at home, so something's got to give. And like you said, John, I really believe you'll know fairly early. Blackhawk West, why are you on the Eagles so big?
I'm on the Eagles. I like the points. Let's just go there. I love points, and so playoff games. A lot. You'll hear me say this a lot as we talk about playoffs. Is in most cases, if you like the dog, just play the money line, because for the dog to come in and cover the kind of lines that are laid out, you're probably, the dog's probably going to win the game and not just keep. If this is such a mismatch from in certain aspects that and on both sides, really on both sides, that if Philly is going to cover, they're probably going to win the game. I love Philly's run game, but more so, I love their run defense. Philly has an underrated defense, and they played each other earlier in this season, and the game was defined by less than what this point spread opened at. I believe that was a 6-point game, and we're going into this one. It started at 9.5. It's down to 8.5. But Jalen Hurts also threw 2 interceptions, and that doesn't happen very often either. So he threw 2 interceptions, and Philly found a way to keep it within 6. If he has a clean game, does that mean they win? If he has 1 interception, does that cut the point differential in half? And Tampa is so pass heavy. There's such an overwhelmingly great pass attack, and I don't know who Brady is throwing this ball to, and he'll find somebody because he's Brady and he's the GOAT, and he's all of those superlatives, but I like getting the points in a situation where it took a quarterback, a really good dual threat quarterback, 2 interceptions to lose by only 6.
Yeah, I can't argue with the logic there. And like I said, I'm looking forward to it. But the Eagles definitely finish the season playing strong football. I don't think anybody's going to argue that. When we get back from break, we're going to catch the other of the 3 games that are on Sunday. You're listening to Sports Betting Weekly on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, Belly Up Sports Podcast Network, the Sports Betting Channel, and sportsbettingweeklylive.com.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
At championshipfootballs.com, they offer a 100% money-back guarantee on every single souvenir football that they sell. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. There's nothing worse than trying to find the right gift for somebody that already has everything. Whether that special present is for a New England Patriots fan or an Ohio State Buckeyes backer. Maybe Gramps is a lifelong New York Giants supporter. Or your brother-in-law is a 12th man living in Seattle. Know a member of the Michigan State Alumni Association? Is there a better Father's Day gift for someone who's a Baltimore Ravens fan? Send them the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, if your favorite pro team is the Buffalo Bills or those Minnesota Vikings, well, they're sorry about that. Also, if you're a New Mexico State Aggies or Tulane Green Wave alumnus, not much they can do. After all, the name isn't nice effort, you had a pretty good season, footballs.com. The name is championshipfootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
Hey, this is an important message. I'm Second Half Chaz from Sports Betting Weekly. Sports betting is supposed to be a hobby. It's supposed to be fun. If you're hurting yourself by gambling with money you don't have, check out our website for the Gamblers Anonymous phone number.
When Vince Young scored on 4th and 5 in the 2006 Rose Bowl, two things happened. The Texas Longhorns won the NCAA title, and ChampionshipFootballs.com was born. From Texas to Alabama to Ohio State, and now for Super Bowl winners too. ChampionshipFootballs.com is the place for the coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed. Now, 10 years later, ChampionshipFootballs.com has the autographs too. See if any of these names remind you of a special time in your football life. Michael Bennett, Lou Holtz, Joe Montana, Devin Smith, Jameis Winston, Rocky Blyer, Rocket Ishmael, Ara Parsegian, Mike Stonebreaker, Chris Zorich, Luther Bradley, Todd Light, Tony Rice, Lawrence Taylor, Dave Casper, Marcus Mariota, Rudy Rudiger, David Tyree. Enter the promo code RADIO and you'll instantly save $50 on any of the ChampionshipFootballs.com autographed footballs. ChampionshipFootballs.com. The coolest present they'll open that day, guaranteed.
It's the Worldwide Sports Radio Network.
Sports Betting Weekly.
Sit back and enjoy the show.
Chicken dinner.
Welcome back to Sports Betting Weekly. I'm Second Half Chaz, along with John from JMF Sports Consultants and Black Hawk West from 151 Sports Investing, and we are updating our live action. So what we got here is John liked Minnesota, so we hopped on a money line for the game, minus 135. They're down by a few points here early in the second. We hopped on the wrong play there in the Bruins game, Black Hawk West. We should have hopped on the over.
Yeah, we're getting it taken to us here. It's the Bruins just popped one in. We're 3-2 Bruins for the game, but yeah, we should have.
No, we could have hit the 1.5. We could hit the 2.5 already. We'd be sitting around waiting for the 3.5. I thought, of course, if it ends 4-2 after, so I got 3 minutes. I need another Bruins puck in the net because then I'll get that plus. No, I got -0.5. It was 2. We're in trouble, Wes.
Well, it was. I said it when we called it out. It was a value play, and I've never seen plus money like that on a period play. I was comfortable siding with the odds makers that are being exposed and comfortable with it.
Yeah, no. If you don't, I have found. No, just my experience. I have found you never cash 100% of the bets you don't make ever. I've just noticed that. So we're scrapping there. We got what else we got? We have Georgia State, South Alabama kicking off at the after the show. That's we're taking the home team there minus 1.5. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it, but if you're watching right now at 8:40 in New York time on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network, I mentioned that we got the Loudmouths follow us up, and they've got a great guest. But 2 weeks from this weekend, we'll be in Las Vegas for our Betaway weekend, and it's been 2 years, and I'm pretty excited. When I'm not counting sleeps excited. I'm not having dreams yet excited. However, I've had some great runs where, let me swing by the craps tables and I'll meet you guys up in the room. And then they come back an hour and a half later and, dude, are you okay? Yeah, I got all these chips.
You got all these chips, yeah. Well, if you're sitting at the table for that long, that generally means you're doing pretty well.
Yeah. We went down to the Cirque the last time we were there, and we went up to the pool, paid to get to the pool. Yeah. It's definitely, if you've not been to the Cirque pool, you need to do it. You may not need to do it twice in the winter, I've
No.
done it in the winter. We had gloves and masks on. But it was pretty cool. Then we were downtown. I don't even know where we went. I followed the guys. As you know, everybody's different when they gamble. Some guys will never leave a table. They're gambling literally 20
Stay
of the
there
20.
all day. Yeah.
That's not well, John. You hung with me in Vegas. You see, that's my style. I'm not really. I'm a sports betting guy, and I play the tables and I budget my money when I'm done. I don't give any more money, and if I win, I have separate pockets. Yes,
exactly.
I have a fanny pack. I have the greatest fanny pack in the history of fanny packs because my kid bought it for Christmas one year. It's amazing. It really is. It's got a place
Sports
for my
Betting Weekly fanny packs coming out soon.
It's got a place for my
there we go.
It's got a place for my cash. It's got a place for my room card. It's just beautiful. But when I win money from you at the casino, I put it in a different pocket. The pocket goes,
That's the smart way to do it.
Yes,
like you said, we're sitting there all day.
And I wandered over to a 3-card poker table. There was a pretty young girl. The older you get, the younger the girls get behind the tables.
That's true.
She hadn't shuffled or anything, so I sat down and I threw $10 down on the. It was a $5 table, but I always throw $10 down on the first hand of triple or 3-card poker because occasionally I'll get really good cards. I've got the first time. I mean, in my career, I must have 5 or 6 different. Wow, I just got 3 9s or. The girl dealt me a royal flush.
Wow.
A jack, king, an ace of hearts. I played a few more hands and I walked away with like $5.50 for a dime.
Yeah, that's a big payout on 3-card poker. Yeah.
But I didn't cash out. I just had her coloring me out. And I held the baby under my arm and I walked over to the blackjack table and I just sat behind the guys. And they were playing with a little bit of chips. They didn't have nobody was really betting a lot of money. Yeah. And they looked, and you know what? You could tell one of them was purple. Purple chips are fun chips. So
that's
looking forward to that. So let's finish up these last 3 games. San Francisco at Dallas. Start with Blackhawk West from 151 Sports Investing. San Francisco at Dallas. Why is that game jumping out at me? I think it's because it's a playoff game, Wes.
It's a playoff game, and this is a flashback to the 90s. So, I mean, it's some of those great matchups with Dallas and San Francisco, and then, Deion Sanders changed sides, one year to the other. But, I mean, that's where Dallas, San Francisco takes me. But there's a lot made on this game about San Francisco on the road, and we're going to see a road dog win outright, but I don't think it's going to be on this game. The 3 points, I think, is the right number. Dallas is number 1 in the league at interceptions. And at taking the ball away via interception. And Jimmy G, he doesn't mind giving the ball to the other team. San Francisco is a really good run offense, and they got a pretty good defense. But Dallas can come at you so many different ways when they're dialed in. And I think that Dallas, the way that they can score points, they have a full roster, they have a rested roster, and the way that they can score points, it's going to take San Francisco off of what their game plan is. And, I'm not in the business of calling people out or saying negative things about coaches, but that San Francisco coach, he doesn't really do well in these big spots. I know he went to the Super Bowl, but he kind of got out coached in the Super Bowl. And so I really like Dallas in this spot. I think that the 3 is a gift. I really do. On a coin flip, you may be able to get 2.5.
Yeah, the bottom line is San Francisco should have won that Super Bowl, right? They had a lead. All they got to do is put it away. John.
Yes, sir. This is a tough game, but I'm going to lean the same way as Dallas. They're at home. This is the playoffs, and kind of a similar sentiment to where I said, the Patriots are going to have Mac Jones throw the ball. The 49ers are going to have Jimmy G throw the ball. Don't get me wrong. They have a phenomenal wide receiver duo who's been playing lights out, the last few weeks. But I think in the playoffs, it requires your quarterback to do a little bit more. And if we're talking on that side, I will lean towards Dak Prescott doing a little bit more than Jimmy G in this week. Same thing. I just have more faith in the defense. I have more faith in Dak Prescott. I have more faith in the coaching. I have more faith in the running game. So that's going to make me take Dallas here. I'm personally not betting that game as of yet, but if in-game opportunity presents itself, I will definitely go on the Dallas side of that.
Yeah, here's a couple things that jump out at me from our Easy Sports data. On the road, San Francisco's last 10 games, 9 of them are under in the first quarter. And mostly because of their style offense isn't that productive. However, in the first half, they've got a streak of 6 straight games where they have scored the same or less. Now, that's not what you want to do. If you're an offense, you don't want to score less than you did the last time. But they scored 23, 17, 17, 10, and then 3, and then 3. So I said it last night on the Belly Up show. I said, I got a quarterback that's got no tape on his hand and a quarterback that has tape on his hand, and it's his throwing hand, right? That guy had tape on his throwing hand. I'm betting he doesn't have the tape on his throwing hand. So I'm leaning the same way you guys are. Pittsburgh at Kansas City. Wes, will you be at this game?
Oh, yes, I will be for sure. It's going to be a cold one. We're expecting a tremendous up to 3 inches snowstorm on Saturday. So I don't know. There's a lot of staffing issues all across the country. I would imagine Arrowhead and Kansas City to have some staffing issues. Hopefully they get that field dusted off. I know Arrowhead's one of the oldest stadiums in football, but yes, I will indeed be at that game. I'm 14 rows off the field, right on the tunnel where the players come out. I can feel the flames of the fireworks. That's my home away from home.
All right. So the question I'm going to have for you that has nothing to do with sports betting. We got a couple minutes. What's your day like Saturday or Sunday? What's your day like Sunday?
So Sunday, I'll wake up and I'll get ready for the first game the same way that I always do. My second cup of coffee will probably be leaded, and then I'll watch the first couple games, and then probably about halftime. It is going to be either before the first half or closer to halftime. We're getting in the car and we're going, and I usually go to the Bud tent. What's cool about Arrowhead is they have all these different VIP tent experiences. So the tailgating's like nothing you'll ever experience. I mean, your son came and saw me. We, took him to the Bud tent and we had a great time. So
I still talks about it.
So there's different tailgates that you can attend, and you walk around and meet people and you eat food. And so I'll probably get to Arrowhead somewhere around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and the cold doesn't bother me, and I probably won't leave Arrowhead until 11 o'clock at night.
There you go. Good for you. What's going to happen in the game?
So I go back to the last time that these teams played, and the Chiefs, the Chiefs offensive line has improved dramatically. The Chiefs are averaging under 2 sacks allowed per game, while Pittsburgh is 55 sacks for the season. I mean, that is a wild number on 17 games, but not against the Chiefs. So I just don't like the number. It's going to be very cold. The way to prevent sacks is by running the ball really well. As of yesterday, Edwards-Helaire and Williams were listed as questionable for the game. So, the Chiefs, their running back is kind of by committee, or they run via these short little dink and dunk passes, very New England-esque, like Julian Edelman type passing stuff that New England did. So I just don't like the 13 points. I don't think that the Chiefs are going to lose the game. I don't see what galaxy that would happen on. But I just don't like the 13. I think the Chiefs probably win by a touchdown or less, and that's the way I see it going. And and I think that there's probably going to be a lot of yellow towels in that stadium. I had some.
No doubt about it. Well, did your extra tickets go to a yellow towel person or a red towel person?
I don't know. Well, yeah, a local friend that I know, he took the tickets off my hand, and he was glad to pay the premium on them. And he is a Steelers fan, and it's crazy. I mean, for all intents and purposes, this could be Big Ben's last game.
No doubt. All right, John, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm in a similar situation as Wes here. I am siding with Kansas City. They're at home. They've starting to come together here at the right time. I just don't like that number. That number just seems a little too outrageous for me in a playoff game to lay, just because you never know what's going to happen on the back end of that. But I'm leaning KC. If there's a opportunity in game where I could get it maybe under 7 or 6, then I might jump in on that. But otherwise, just strictly a spectator in this one, watching this and cheering for KC.
I'm gonna yell. I'm gonna give you three things. In their last 13 road games, Pittsburgh's 1 touchdown in the first quarter. In their last 6
there you go.
home games, Kansas City hasn't given up a touchdown. And of course, they're 6-0, and in the other, Pittsburgh has like 2-10. But here's some teams. I'm going to give you Green Bay, Dallas, Denver, Oakland, Pittsburgh. Right, the last 5 regular season home games this year. Not one of those teams, and some of those teams are in this playoffs, have scored more than 10 points. Nobody has scored more than 10 points on Kansas City at home in a long, long time. Last game, Arizona at Rams.
Impressive.
3 minutes, Wes. Wrap it up. Let's go.
I'm all over Zona. Zona money line, Zona taking the 4 points. These collection of talent teams don't work. We can go back 10 years and find there was an Eagles team that had a collection of talent. We saw it happen in Washington on many occasions. They don't work. Zona money line, Zona take the points. Zona's going to roll. I love Arizona in this spot, and for a lot of X's and O reasons. But the short answer is the collection of talent teams do not work.
John.
Same thing. I'm on Arizona here. I'm taking the points. I'm going to sprinkle some money line here. I was never really a fan of the Rams throughout the regular season, and I think that last game that they played versus the 49ers kind of shows that. I don't want to use the term bad coaching or kind of no heart, but I think they just got deflated that last game, giving up that big lead that they had. And I'm looking same thing. I'm looking Arizona. They got a great running back. Connor's playing exceptionally well. Hopefully they get some pieces back together, which I think they might. And I think they're going to roll here. I'll go with the younger team, the little bit hungrier team, the team that has overall played better throughout the regular season in Arizona here.
You know, it's really weird because Arizona is 1-4 against the spread in their last 5 games, but on the road, they're 9-1 in their last 10. They play better on the road. You got to think that if you watch the San Francisco game film and you're playing the Rams, you're going to pick up a few things. There's no doubt about it. All right, before we let you go, let me quick check the board here. I'm going to go to the banners. On the bottom of the banners, I've got the follow Wes on Twitter. Here's the one I'm looking for. Where is it? Where is the check? Okay. John, GMF _sports _consultants. Follow us on Twitter at 51_sports. Again, I am second half Chaz. You've been listening on the Worldwide Sports Radio Network. Hang around for the loudmouths. They are up next. If you're catching us on the Belly Up Sports Podcast Network or sportsbettingweeklylive.com or the Sports Betting Channel, you didn't catch the live action, but so far so good on the live action. Memphis has made a comeback. They got the lead now.
Nice.
And with the basketball game to come, do me a favor. Always be cashing.